And I know the town of Porter is very small. I don't know if people may know who this mother is, who's allegedly responsible possibly for this.
Well, I just talked to a neighbor. She says she has seen the kids before, and she says this is just tragic and shocking. This is a heartbreaking story. A mother is accused of shooting her 4 kids, and 2 of them died. And we learned that the family lived in this home here behind me in Porter, Montgomery County. Now, authorities arrested this mother. Take a look here. 31-year-old Oninda Romelus.
And you can see the signs. What kind of hang nigga tell you, oh, you spend too much money on your nails and your goddamn hair and feet, you can be saving that money. You go over there and tell that hoe how to live her life. A bitch that don't call on it for nothing? How the hell you gonna tell me what the f do with my money, bitch? Now that I think about it, I really blame you motherfucking weak ass hoes for letting these niggas motherfucking think they can play with real bitches. Y'all hoes gonna sit and wait on the nigga to feed y'all. Y'all gonna sit and wait on the nigga everything for y'all. Y'all not gonna go get up and get it. So when they come around the real bitch that do everything on their own, they feel like they can take your power away. You can't take no power from a bitch that built herself. Like you can't.
Tax agent, aspiring rapper going by Mofo Haiti. But when authorities searched her home, they found something else entirely. Dozens of fake IDs, counterfeit documents. A secret operation, police say, was far darker than anyone could have imagined. But that's not why 31-year-old Oninda Romelus is behind bars facing a $14 million bond. What makes a mother harm her own children? Why would she drive 65 miles in the middle of the night before calling for help? And what did she mean when she told investigators, "I didn't call 911, I called the devil"? When they asked her why, she said, "Instead of them doing it to me, I'm gonna do it to them." Do what? Kill them all. This is the Oninda Romelus case. 2 young lives lost, 2 survivors, and a web of secrets that's only beginning to unravel. Okay, y'all, we need to talk about this case out of Texas, because honestly, the more information that comes out, the more questions we have. And I know y'all have been asking me to cover this, so let's sit down and go through everything we know. Because this situation right here, it's got layers we didn't even see coming. I'm talking about a Saturday morning that started with a 911 call and ended with a community completely shaken. We got receipts, we got police reports, we got surveillance footage, and we even got the full press conference from the sheriff himself. So we're gonna walk through this step by step, and trust me, you're gonna wanna stay for all of it. Now, before we get into what went down that morning, we need to understand who we're talking about here. Oninda Romelus, 31 years old, originally from Haiti. She had been living in Porter, Texas, which is just north of Houston in Montgomery County. But here's the thing, she hadn't been in Texas that long. Her father-in-law, James Chappelle, who lives in Atlanta, Georgia, told reporters that Romelus is from Haiti and that she lived in Georgia before moving to Texas about 5 months ago. Just 5 months, y'all. So what do we know about her life? Well, Chappelle told reporters she was a tax agent. That's her profession, handling people's finances and taxes. But she also had another side to her that a lot of people didn't know about. Turns out, Oninda was trying to make it in the music industry. She went by the name Mofo Haiti, and she had actually released music. We're talking about a single called Me and My Freestyle that dropped on Apple Music earlier this year. So she was juggling being a mom, working as a tax agent, and chasing her dreams as a rapper. Now here's where her past starts to show some cracks. Back in April 2022, while she was still living in Georgia, Oninda got arrested in Fayette County. The charges? DUI for drugs, failure to maintain lane, and possession of marijuana, less than an ounce. She ended up pleading guilty to that DUI charge, and the other 2 charges got dropped. That arrest was documented. We got the receipts on that. But wait, there's more to her story. Y'all remember that show, Paternity Court? The one where people go to figure out who the father of their child is? Well, Oninda appeared on that show years ago to establish paternity for one of her children. And here's what's really heartbreaking. That child she was on TV fighting for, that was her 13-year-old son, Oninda Covington, one of the victims in this case. She also had previous contact with Child Protective Services. According to Melissa Lanford, the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services spokesperson, she said, Ms. Romelus has had contact with CPS on one other occasion. Details of that interaction are confidential, but will be included in a public child fatality report when our investigation is complete. So we've got a woman with a troubled past, trying to start fresh in Texas, working, making music, raising 4 kids on her own. To neighbors, she seemed quiet, kept to herself mostly. A lot of people in her Porter neighborhood said they barely knew her because she had only been there for a few months. But let's talk about those kids for a second. 4 children. Let me say their names because it's important in these conversations. 13-year-old Oninda Covington. Neighbors described him as a sweet young man. Listen to what one neighbor told reporters.
I did talk to a neighbor who said that she knew the kids. She saw them many times before. She's never spoken or seen the mother, but said that nothing seemed suspicious. Take a listen.
We didn't know anything about the lady, but as for the 13-year-old boy and then his little sister, he was very sweet. We would see him in the afternoons because we would sit out in the afternoon, and we would see him going to get her from the daycare and bringing her back and taking care of her. We didn't know anything about the other 2 kids, and when we heard it, I couldn't believe it, and I'm still in shock.
You hear that? Every afternoon, this young man was picking up his little sister from daycare and taking care of her. He was that big brother. You know what I'm saying? Being responsible, making sure she was safe. Then we have 3-year-old Amora Chappell. This was a baby, y'all. Her grandfather, James Chappell, spoke to reporters about what it was like hearing the news. When asked what his reaction was when he heard about her passing, he said,
"What was your reaction when you heard about her death?"
I started crying immediately. That's my grandbaby.
Listen to the pain in those words. That's my grandbaby. He also mentioned that Amora and the 8-year-old boy were both his grandchildren, meaning they had the same father. An 8-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl, the 2 survivors. These babies are now in the hospital recovering from their injuries, and according to reports, they've been cooperating with investigators, answering questions about what happened that morning. Another neighbor who spoke to the media shared something that really hit me.
Seeing them Friday, and they were happy and on their way, telling us hi and bye, and figuring I would see them again Monday afternoon. Heartbreaking to think that anything could be so bad that you have to take your children's life. I don't understand.
And that's where we all are right now, trying to understand something that honestly doesn't make sense. Now here's something that stood out to me. The grandfather, James Chappell, even with everything we know now, told reporters that Oninda seemed like a good mother. Let me repeat that. He said she seemed like a good mother.
I didn't see anything wrong with her personality. She seemed like a beautiful person.
That's what makes this whole thing even more confusing. So you got this mother of 4 trying to make it work, and from the outside looking in, things seemed okay. The kids seemed happy, but clearly something was going on that nobody saw coming. And that brings us to that Saturday morning. All right, pay attention to this part because this is where things get real heavy and we need to go through the timeline carefully. Saturday, October 4th, 2025. Now, we didn't know this at first, but new evidence just came out that changes everything we thought we knew about when this all started. A neighbor's surveillance camera across the street from Oninda's house in Porter captured something crucial. At 2:39 in the morning, the camera showed multiple people, including what investigators described as subjects small in stature consistent with small children, leaving the house and getting into a car. 2:39 a.m., y'all, in the middle of the night. Where are you taking 4 kids at that hour? That's the question everybody's asking. Now, Oninda's house in Porter, Montgomery County is about 65 miles away from Angleton in Brazoria County. That's over an hour's drive. So between 2:39 a.m. when they left the house and what happens next, we got a window of time where something went terribly wrong. Fast forward to 4:48 a.m., that's when Oninda called the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office. She's at a Shell gas station, an Oasis gas station on Highway 288 in Angleton. When she called, she just told them they needed to come to her location. She didn't explain what was happening, just said, "Come to where I am." But here's what's really disturbing about this moment. Surveillance cameras at that gas station captured everything. The footage shows Oninda pulling up to the pump in her white sedan. And y'all, while she's on the phone with 911, this woman is pumping gas. So apparently, she's filling up her tank while on the phone with emergency services, and her 4 children are in that car. When deputies arrived at that gas station, what they found was absolutely devastating. All 4 children had been struck by gunfire. They were all in that vehicle. According to court records, the 13-year-old boy was found in the front passenger seat, and the other 3 children were in the back seat. Deputies immediately started performing life-saving measures. You can hear it in the dispatch audio that was released. Listen to what was said over the radio.
Now, the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office says that they initially found out about the shooting through a 911 call. Take a listen to when deputies were first dispatched to the scene.
We need multiple ambulances.
Multiple ambulances. The deputy told dispatch, "We're doing first aid, we're doing everything we can." In the background of that audio, you can hear a woman screaming. The scene was chaotic. Despite their best efforts, Ocario Covington, the 13-year-old, and little Amora Chappelle, the 3-year-old baby, did not make it. They passed away from their injuries. The 8-year-old boy and 9-year-old girl were rushed by life flight to a Houston area hospital. They were in critical condition, but thankfully they stabilized. According to the last updates we got, both surviving children are still in the hospital receiving medical treatment, and they're expected to recover physically from their injuries. Now here's what investigators believe based on all the evidence they collected. Sheriff Bo Stallman said during the press conference,
"We believe that the evidence shows that this tragedy has occurred inside of the vehicle and that Romelus, the mother of the children, is a shooter."
Oninda was arrested right there at the scene. Once Oninda was taken into custody, investigators started piecing everything together. And y'all, the things that came out during questioning, it's honestly hard to even process. They took her to the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office for an interview. According to court documents we got access to, investigators said when Romelus was questioned, she was alert and aware but wasn't making any sense. Court documents say Romelus appeared paranoid and kept looking around while being questioned in an interview room. She kept repeatedly looking toward the door like somebody was coming. When they asked her why she called 911, at first she said she couldn't talk about it. But then she said something that stopped everybody in that room. According to court documents, she stated, "Instead of them doing it to me, I'm gonna do it to them." The investigator asked her what she meant. Do what? And court documents say she responded, "Kill them all." Y'all, this is a mother talking about her own children. But it gets even more disturbing. When they kept pressing her about why she called 911, court documents state that she said she didn't call 911, she called the devil. Court documents say she kept saying she was ready to work, which the investigator said did not make sense. When they asked about her children, court documents say Romelus then told the investigator that her children were with the devil and they're dead, adding, "'Cause you can't take me without me taking you." And then according to court documents, she also stated that her children were dead to her, not just physically gone, but dead to her. Now, Oninda has been charged with 2 counts of murder for Ocario and Amora and 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for the 2 surviving children. Her bond was set at $14 million. That breaks down to $5 million for each murder charge and $2 million for each aggravated assault charge. While all this was going down in Brazoria County, investigators needed to search Oninda's home in Porter, that's in Montgomery County, so the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office assisted with that search. And what they found there? Nobody saw this coming. This just came out in a search warrant affidavit that was recently released. According to Montgomery County Sheriff's Office Detective Joshua Boone, when investigators got inside that house, they found dozens of credit cards, Idaho cards, Social Security cards, and Treasury checks. But here's the crazy part. Detective Boone said in the affidavit, some identification cards had photographs of Oninda Romelus with names of different individuals. She had fake IDs with her face but using other people's identities. Detective Boone continued, these items were located in an office inside the home that also contained multiple shipping labels, phones, computers, laptops, printers, and other devices I knew through prior investigations to be used in the course of creating fraudulent pieces of identifying information. He added, the counterfeit identification documents were in various stages of manufacture, bearing different names, states, and photographs. So not only are we dealing with this horrific situation with the children, but now we're finding out she was allegedly running a whole identity theft scheme out of her house. But here's what we don't fully understand yet. Why? What was going through her mind? Was this something she had been planning? Was it impulsive? Did the identity theft operation have anything to do with it? Was she under some kind of pressure we don't know about yet? Was there mental illness involved that nobody caught? The grandfather told reporters he was shocked. Neighbors said the kids seemed happy. One neighbor said it perfectly, I couldn't believe it, and I'm still in shock. And that's what's so scary about situations like this. From the outside, everything can look fine. Kids playing, saying hi to neighbors, big brother taking care of little sister. But inside, something was clearly going wrong. Whether it was mental health, whether it was stress, whether it was something else entirely. We may never fully understand it. What we can do is remember those babies, Ocario Covington, just 13 years old, trying to be a good big brother. Amora Chappelle, only 3 years old, her whole life ahead of her. And those 2 survivors who are going to have to carry this trauma for the rest of their lives. I also want to acknowledge the first responders who showed up to that gas station. Those deputies who immediately started trying to save those children's lives. The sheriff mentioned in the press conference that their quick actions are believed to have saved at least one child's life. They did everything they could in an impossible situation. Sheriff Stallman thanked the community, saying the prayers, the messages, and support shown for these children, and also for the first responders involved in this mean more to us than what words can express. The community in Brazoria County and Montgomery County is hurting right now. And I know our community is feeling it too, because every time we hear about something like this happening to children, it affects all of us. Here's what I want us to take away from this. If you're struggling, if you're overwhelmed, if you're dealing with mental health issues, or feeling like you can't handle what's on your plate, please reach out for help. Talk to somebody. Call a hotline. Go to a hospital. Don't let it get to a point where you or anyone around you gets hurt. And if you see someone struggling, check on them. Really check on them. Not just, hey, how are you, but sit down and have a real conversation. You might be the person who makes a difference. This case is still developing. Oninda Romelus will go through the court system and will be following as more information comes out. The investigation is ongoing, and there's still a lot we don't know. But what we do know is that 2 children are gone way too soon, and 2 others are going to need support, love, and healing for a long time to come. If this story affected you, if you want to keep up with developments in this case, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We cover cases like this because we believe in keeping our community informed and having real conversations about what's happening in our world. Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this case? What questions do you still have? Let's talk about it in the comments. And most importantly, hug your loved ones a little tighter today. Life is precious, and we never know what someone might be going through behind closed doors. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay aware, and take care of each other.
Good. Yesterday, Brazoria County deputies responded to an unthinkable, unimaginable tragedy. This event has shaken our community, and we are all feeling the loss. While this remains an active investigation, I do want to share what details with you that I can at this point. Evidence indicates that the driver of the vehicle identifies as a 31-year-old Oninda Romelus. She's the mother of the 4 children involved. All 4 children have sustained gunshot wounds. Sadly, a 13-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl did not survive. We are thankful to report that an 8-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl are now in stable condition. We believe that the evidence shows that this tragedy has occurred inside of the vehicle and that Romelus, the mother of the children, is the shooter. At 4:48 a.m. yesterday, Romelus called the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office. When deputies arrived, they immediately began providing lifesaver measures to each children until medical help could arrive. The 2 surviving children were life-flighted into a Houston area hospital where they remain in stable condition. Romelus was later arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, with a total bond set at $14 million. Romelus is a current resident of the Montgomery County here in Texas, where Sheriff Wesley Doolittle is the sheriff there of Montgomery County, and he is here with us today. His office has assisted us with investigative tasks that have taken place there in Montgomery County. Our investigators, along with responding agencies, continue to collect and analyze evidence in this case and in this ongoing investigation. I also want to thank the people of Brazoria County and our surrounding communities. The prayers, the messages and support shown for these children, and also for the first responders involved in this, mean more to us than what words can express. It is impossible to make sense of a senseless tragedy like this, but we will do everything we can to seek justice for these children. I will now open this up for a few questions. However, before I do want to be clear that there are still many details that cannot be released at this point, okay? So, you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff Jay Warren with KPRC. I was wondering if you happen to know exactly the location where the shooting took place?
Again, that is part of the ongoing investigation that we're still looking into. So,
you mentioned that she called 911. Can you explain a little bit more about that? At what point did that happen?
at what point did what happen? She called, yes, she called 911. I believe the time was what, 4:48 a.m. Is that what I said? Yep. Well, yes.
What did she say exactly when she called?
She called and our deputies responded. She called and she gave us information that we needed to come to her location. We didn't know exactly what we were responding to at the time.
I'm sorry, Troy Kosokecho, can you share what investigators found at their home in Montgomery County? And that was her permanent residence there?
Yeah, that's exactly where her permanent residence was. Again, that's part of the ongoing investigation. That's where her residence was, so that's why we went to that residence.
Did she have any criminal history, or is there any?
Again, that's part of the ongoing investigation that we continue to look into, and I can assure you that we will do everything in our power to find justice for these children.
Have the two surviving children been interviewed, or are there plans to interview them and get an understanding of what they saw?
Can you ask your question again?
Have the two surviving children been interviewed, or is there plans?
Yes, they have been interviewed. They're going to continue to cooperate as well. Yeah.
Is she a parent that has sole custody of the children?
I'm not going to mention much about the custody situation. There's a lot of things that is still it's an active investigation. Okay.
Sheriff, would you have an active investigation? We understand there's not a lot that you.
There really is not.
But a lot of folks are just wondering, what went wrong here?
Right.
Is there anything that you could share with us, just as far as what went wrong here?
Like I said, at this point, this is still an ongoing. However, what is most important is that our team is working on this. We've been burning the midnight oil on this ever since this dropped, right? So I can assure you we're looking into this, and there is a lot of stuff that is not able to be released at this point. So All right? I got one more question.
One more question. I gotta get you guys back
Are
to
you
work.
able to share what kind of weapons recovered, or was there a weapon recovered?
I'm still, like I said, it was a weapon that she did utilize, and she did shoot. I'm not going to tell you all the calibers and all the details of it. There's not time for that.
Quick question. Hey folks, I'm sorry. I just said we had one more question. I gotta get these guys back to work. I'll answer any additional they have.
Any indication, you said that the mother lived in Montgomery County.
Yes.
Why was she in Brazoria? Can you release that information? What brought her here?
I can, again, that is part of the active and ongoing investigation that we're looking into. I apologize.
Thank you. All right, folks, I really appreciate you all coming down here, and I know we are not able to release a lot of information at this point. There's a lot of things that we can't speculate on as part of a criminal matter, but I just really appreciate you being down here. If you'd like, I'd be able to answer any of your questions, and I'll make sure to get that stuff in our release.
One question.
Yes.
What can you share with us today that we didn't know yesterday?
I think the biggest thing that we didn't have information of yesterday was where this event occurred. The sheriff did say it in his statement, but we do know that it did occur inside the vehicle at this point. Again, the specific locations, the specific weapons, that is all something that is still part of that ongoing investigation.
Was she taken in without incident?
I'm trying to think. I would say so, yes.
Can you spell her first and last name?
Absolutely. I actually don't have that in front of me. I apologize. I will put it in that release whenever I send it out to your respective agencies.
And she is in Brazoria County Jail.
Correct, yes. And she is on that $14 million bond.
What do we know about the motive?
The motive, I can't speculate on that right now. I can't speculate on that one right now. I do know that we are working and interviewing both her and any other witnesses involved to try to determine that.
In the press release, you guys mentioned something about individuals in custody involved in this case. What are we talking in plural?
I believe the phrasing of the press release was that all the individuals involved were detained. We've only actually taken one into custody. So, and by individuals involved, it was anyone who saw anything, any witnesses, etc., just to make sure that we got all that information. Any witnesses, a lot of them have actually already come forward, which is great. So.
We just believe that there's just one person involved in this matter, and this is the mother.
Yeah, as the sheriff said, the shooter is the mother in this case, and at least all the evidence that we currently have at this point points to that.
Just to clarify, you said the call was made at 4:48 a.m.?
Yes, a.m., correct. Is
there any information on who will be taking custody of the two surviving children?
No, not at this time.
And it was a 13-year-old boy, 3-year-old girl?
Yes, yesterday it was 4 p.m., or the age was listed as 4, and that was my fault. I did some bad math. Apologies on that. But yes, very, very sadly, a 3-year-old.
And all 4 of those kids were her kids?
That is our understanding, is that she was the mother of all 4.
13-year-old boy, 4-year-old girl, and then what are the genders of the other 2 that are in the room?
I don't want to swap them. I know it was a boy and a girl, but let me confirm on which age had which.
Do you know that they like as far as the kids, were they attending a specific school district? Do you know has that information been?
I don't have that one offhand. If that can be released, I'll put it in our press release.
The suspect, African American, white, Hispanic.
African American female, age 31.
Is she cooperating in the investigation? She being forthright?
Yes, that's a great question. I would say that she has been interviewed. That is the way I would answer that question. Any others?
She doesn't have any criminal history?
Not any that I can release at this point. Yes, I can. Not that I'm aware of. Any other questions?
And the bond, just to confirm, 14 million, is that?
Yes, 14 million total for all 4 charges. So the 2 murder charges were both set at a $5 million bond, and then the charges for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon were each set at $2 million.
And the 2 surviving children are still in the hospital? And you said stable condition?
They are in stable condition. My understanding is that they're still receiving medical treatment, but I haven't verified that in a number of hours. So.
Do we know which hospital?
Houston area is what I have.
Has the suspect, has she already appeared before a judge, or is she just in custody at this point?
She would have had to be magistrated to receive her bond amounts, so she should have appeared before a judge, at least in that capacity. Any other questions? All right, folks, thank you, and thank you for your patience. I really appreciate you. And I'll be available as you guys take down if you think of anything. Thanks.
Just quickly, your public release to us. I think most of us are
I'm going to go type it. I have that draft already. I'm just going to add some stuff in that we talked about here, and then I'll get that right out.
And you said the spelling of her name is going to be in the press release.
Okay. It's not a familiar name for me.
Can we expect another update tomorrow?
I don't know when this is, but I know I was on the phone with many of you. It is an unusual case. And so I don't know exactly when, but I know, and heck, we have a vested interest in this case. I know our community does. And so for me and the sheriff, we both want to be able to get the information out. So we will be getting it out as we can.
And for the magistrate appearance, the two questions. One, will there be a mugshot with the release too?
Can be, yes.
Okay. And for the magistrate appearance, is that something that, is there a video of that? Would you be able to request that to you, or would they have to go through the county judges or the clerk's office?
Let me clarify that, because my understanding is that we were still working to be video compatible with those hearings, but I'm not sure where we are in that process. So let me figure that out. So I'll send out the release, and then I'll probably answer that, because that'll probably take longer for me to get that answered than the final one.
Where would they be able to find the charging documents?
If you go to, what I do is I just Google Brazoria County jail records, you'll find it right there.
And just to clarify, I'm actually make sure I heard this right. We know that the children were shot in the car, but the location of where the shooting happened, you guys did not release that?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
So the mugshot will come in the press release?
Yes, I can do that. Is there anything else that'll be helpful for you all in a release?
Date of birth.
Date of birth, got it.
The time to that release today?
Today, hopefully within the next 15 minutes or so.
Oh, okay. We'll let you know.